Says it's owed over 17 billion rand by several businesses and government. Their water and electricity accounts have been in arrears for more than 3 months. They've since been very publicly cutting off the supplies to those who owe them a lot of money. The city of Joburg, of course, facing somewhat of a similar issue. So what does Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse think of all of this? Let's find out. Mayor, good morning to you. Thank you for your time. I'm going to ask in a moment if your city is going to follow suit. First of all, your thoughts on the way Tshwane is going about this. Agree or disagree with what they're doing?
Gareth, we actually started before Tshwane started. It's interesting that most people in the media missed it, and our presser was on a Friday, and my team did say Friday is not a good media day, but we did hold a presser Friday 2 weeks ago already to announce exactly how much is owed to the city, who's owing us money. Of course, we won't divulge the details of a lot of the private businesses that owe us money. But we did announce that on that day, we were starting with cutoffs, and we did. We've had although some of the companies, particularly government departments, coming forward and starting to make payments ever since we've started. Of course, the idea is to rehabilitate those who owe us money. It's not to cut ties with them, so we are trying to be as consultative in our approach as possible. But where pre-termination notices have been issued, after much consultation has happened, we are going ahead and cutting off those people.
So essentially what you're saying, Mayor, is you've been doing something very similar. Let me ask you about the optics and the approach of this then. Why aren't you naming and shaming? I'll tell you why I ask. Because there's a lot of media attention that is being given to the city of Tshwane for taking a no-nonsense stance. Some will be watching our discussion going, oh, I didn't even know the mayor in Joburg was doing this. Why are you taking this approach and not doing what the city of Tshwane is doing, PR-wise and publicly?
Well, we did go public with the presser. We announced, particularly with government departments. I was comfortable naming and shaming where government departments are concerned, because I know they receive money from equitable share. I know their bank accounts are public. I know exactly what their finances look like. And I know with many of them there is capacity to pay. But we also use our discretion. For instance, we chose not to cut off hospitals. We've got the Department of Health in Gauteng owing us in excess of 200 million rands. And we decided we're not going to cut them off. We need to rather look at a different approach. And I approached the Premier of Gauteng and I said, we're going to cut off something in the province because provincial treasury should be able to settle that debt. The Department of Health does not have the money. But when it comes to private business, you'll understand that in the last 2 years, a lot of people have come into some serious financial trouble, and we're trying to have a balanced approach. So one of the things we're doing, over and above doing the cutoffs, is we will be reopening the debt rehabilitation program, where we are allowing people that owe us money to approach us through applying for this program. It is a program to rehabilitate those who owe us money. What we do is we write off 50% of your debt, and we give you 12 months to pay us consistently to rehabilitate you. And at the end of the 12 months, if you comply, then we write off the other 50% of your historic debt. Now, we'll also be opening that up. There is a council process ensuing. We will be taking a report to council, and we plan to open it up until the end of June. As you know, we had it before, and it was closed. Unfortunately, some people were unable to apply due to various reasons, and some of them were our own internal issues, and so we've decided it's only fair to give those people a chance. So we are approaching these on case-by-case basis. There are those we've established have capacity to pay and they just don't want to pay, and those ones we don't have an issue with going public with. But I do think that every case must be handled with care, as some people would have legitimately gone through some troubles.
So do you agree or disagree with the way the city of Tshwane is approaching this? It seems to be effective. People that they've approached, buildings they've approached, have suddenly found millions of rands the moment they see themselves on Twitter. They find money out of nowhere. So last question to you then, Mayor. Do you agree or disagree with the approach, the way it's being handled by the city of Tshwane?
So I don't have the merits, I must admit. I haven't looked into the cases. If it is a case of you've established capacity to pay, you've engaged extensively over time, you've given people numerous chances, to pay when they're able to, and they still refuse. In some cases, you may have even gone to court and they may have lost. In those cases, of course, I support that. But what I wouldn't support is a blanket approach. And like I said, Joburg is doing the same. We are collecting. We've collected millions in the last 2 weeks alone. So it's not as if it's not happening. It's perhaps happening differently. And with some cases, we will go public, but we certainly won't go public with all cases.
Mayor, forgive me. Perhaps let me ask this last question. I'll leave it at this. I can hear viewers in Johannesburg yelling at me to ask you the question. We do have an issue in Joburg. You're well aware of it. I know it was something you spoke about when you and I had an interview before your election. The Joburg billing crisis. It's even a trending topic regularly. That's also a problem for you. You can't go around cutting off lights where there are these hundreds of thousands of disputes.
Yes, we are aware of it. And yes, for instance, in our debtors book, we have over 40 billion. And we've established that about 9 billion of that we will need to write off. The remainder of that has different categories, including billing disputes that have not been resolved. And we can't expect people to pay when their billing issues have not been taken up. So we are working on centralizing data management. One of the things we picked up is that there's fragmentation in the management of data in the city of Johannesburg, and that is why we're having billing queries. So our entities are the ones that are reading the meters, they're sending through their data to revenue, and there's all sorts of broken telephone along the way. Now, the MC for finance, who's also responsible for IT, is quite experienced in both IT and and data management. And so she's taken it upon herself to review how we manage data in the city and upgrade our systems so that we have more seamless flow of information and we don't have as many billing queries. In the meantime, we are dealing with the ones that are already in the system. And yes, we will be bringing that money in.
All right, there you go, Joburg residents. I asked the question. I would have been attacked on Twitter if I didn't ask the question. Mayor, thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. So a slightly different approach to what the City of Tshwane is doing, but still we're told by the Joburg Mayor that they are collecting. It's just not necessarily as public a shaming for those that we're seeing over in Tshwane. Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse joining us.